Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Karen. So I'm gonna do a story time slash mukbang, I guess, while I eat. And this is the day that I did my son's birthday video. So if you guys saw, I picked up some honey spicy wings at Publix and then some crispy chicken, and I just paired it up with some vegetable rice, ranch, and I got my coffee because I haven't had coffee yet. It's already lunchtime. Mmm, very spicy. A little bit. They got a little spice to them. I've never seen these at Publix, so I wanted to try them out. Okay, so today's story time is going to be the time that I went to the dealership. I wanted to trade in my car, and they tried to scam me. We found a car, and the car was on a dealership's website. So the way that it works, because this is, we found all of this out, is that although there is a car posted on a website, a dealership's website, that doesn't mean that it's at that location. It just means that they're able to sell it to a customer if they come in, but that vehicle was actually out of state. So the car was in a different state. So we haven't seen the car. Obviously, we couldn't test drive it because it's out of state. So it had everything that we were looking for in a vehicle, and we're like, okay, well, it has everything that we want, that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and get the car here to our state so that we can test drive it. Mm. So I speak to this represent one a sales rep, and it's a female. So she didn't have much information on the car. I don't know if she was new or what was happening, but she ended up transferring me to someone else to help me, someone like that's more knowledgeable. So he was like, yeah, sure, we can get you. The only thing is that this vehicle, being that it's out of state, the dealership over there is not going to release it to us unless we have something like a contract or something stating that we have a buyer. And I was like, okay, I'm going to drive up there to see you. So I get over at the dealership, and this was in July, okay? July 18th to be exact, because it was right after my birthday. So I get to the dealership, I sit down to talk to the guy, and he is like, okay, so are you sure you want this car? I'm like, well, it has everything that, I'm looking for. Therefore, sure, it is. I'm sure that I want the car. As long as everything is good when it arrives, we'll trade it. So they were like, okay, okay, let me write the numbers, blah, blah, blah. The and so I was like, all right, cool. So he brings out the sheet. If you've been to a dealership, they ask you, excuse me, all types of questions, and mainly like to see what you want, like your payment plans to be or whatever. So I wasn't really focused on like payments or anything. I just wanted to know what the price of the vehicle was at the moment. So he was like, okay, so the vehicle is this much, and then you have this fees and all these fees. So I was like, okay, it's not my first time buying a car, you guys. So I know that there's certain things, certain fees that you don't need to pay. Okay. So this particular fee that had me really like, what in the world, is the, I think it's like low jack or something like that. It's like the security feature in the car that if the car gets stolen or someone breaks into it or whatever, like the whole security GPS thing that cars have. So on the paper, it said that the fee to have that, or because the car already brings it, that it's a feature that, it's already installed in all the vehicles, blah, 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 right? It was like $1,400. And I was like, why is that so much? And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you a discount. And I was like, okay. So he brought it down to like 800, almost $900. And that was his discount, okay? So I was, like I said, I wasn't worried about like numbers or anything. Obviously, like the price of the car, yes. But at the same time, I didn't want to agree or commit to anything because I haven't test drive the car. I haven't seen the car. So I don't know if I'm going to like it by the time it gets here. So they were like, okay, in order so that, are you going to give a down payment? And I was like, no, I'm not giving no down payments. I'm already trading my car. So why am I going to give a down payment, right? So I go and he tells me that I need to sign a paper and I need to pay $1,000 because they have to send the receipt to the dealership where the car is located so they can see that it's legit. A client is trying to buy the car, but that I'll get my money back once the car arrives because I'm not giving a down payment. So when I leave I leave the dealership. He's like, oh, I'm going to call you tomorrow to let you know, what the status on the shipping, blah, blah, blah. 2 days go by and I still haven't heard from this man. So I messaged him and I said, hey, I just wanted to know if you have an update like on the car. He's like, oh yeah, the car is going to be shipped tomorrow. So it should get here in like 2 days. I'll call you when it's here. So I was like, cool. So the car gets here and we go look at the car. My husband test drives it. There's like a weird noise coming from like the wheels or whatever. So the girl, she goes, oh, like, that's no work problem. Like, we'll have our maintenance take a look at it and, see if it's something that we can fix. If not, then obviously you don't have to buy the car. So we're like, okay, cool. So she's like, so do you want to go and sign the papers? And I'm like, no, I don't want to sign any papers. Like, I need to make sure that this car is good before we leave. Obviously, it's a used car, so it wasn't going to be like top notch in perfect shape. But I didn't want it to give up on me a couple months after I buy it. So I was like, okay, you guys take a look at the car, have maintenance look at the car, and I'll come back tomorrow. So in the morning, I go and no, I'm lying. We go in the afternoon when my husband gets home from work so that he can test drive the car again since he was the one who heard the noise. He would be able to tell if it got fixed or not, right? So we get there a little bit late because he got off of work late that day. So we got there, it was already dark. And the original guy that had helped us, he was not there. So a finance manager comes out and he shows us the paper, and the fee for the low jack was back to the original price, which was like almost $1,400. Don't quote me, like it's, I want to say it was around 1,400. I know it was over 1,000 for sure. I don't know if it was like 13. I don't remember to be exact, but I know it was over $1,000. Okay. So that low jack, you do not need to pay for it. Okay. If you want it taken off, they can remove it. There is a law, and of course I can't think of it on the top of my head, but I will post it here, that says that dealerships cannot, if the car doesn't come with it already manufactured installed to the car, they cannot force that on the consumer, being like the customers. So me knowing that, I told the guy, I was like, you know, everything looks good. Just go ahead and take that fee off. I don't want that. We don't want that. He said, oh, no, it already comes with the car. I'm like, you just got the car yesterday. You're gonna tell me that y'all already installed the GPS in the car? And so he goes, it's already installed in all the cars, blah blah blah. We can't remove it. You have to take it. I'm like, I don't have to take anything. Like, I don't. So I mean, if you don't want to take it off, then we don't have to take the car. That's simple. So if that's what you want, like, you know, if you're not gonna take it, then you know you're gonna lose your money. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna lose my money. And he's like, yeah, because we had to pay. Oh, and that's the other thing. They had added $1,000 to the transportation fee or whatever for having to bring the car over here, right? So I was like, okay, you know, they added it on there, but why do I have to pay for them to transfer a vehicle, you know, over here? Like, if I'm not even sure if I'm gonna, you know, buy it. But then I was like, okay, you know, whatever. Like, that's a fee aside from the one that I'm trying to argue here, to get taken off. So he, I tell him, I said, so you prefer to lose a client than to pay me back my money? Or like, no, not to pay me back my money. I said, then to take that off. And he's like, I could sell it to anybody else. Oh my God. He was so cocky and so like, I don't care about your service here, like your business. And it was like horrible. I even looked at my husband like, is he for real? So my husband was like, okay, so yeah, you said it yourself, like you have nothing to lose. So, you know, you can't just remove it. And he's like, no, we can't. So I said, okay, well, I want the papers that I signed, because I did sign papers. Because again, remember that the dealership over there needed something showing that I was going to buy the car. So there was a paper saying that I was going to buy the car. You know, it had the VIN number and everything of the vehicle, but there was nothing stating, nothing in writing, nothing signed saying that I agreed to lose my money, my $1,000, if I did not, you know, take the vehicle. So that was my whole thing. Like, send me everything that I signed, or give me copies of them, because I did not get copies of them, and that's a mistake that I made. But I did not get copies of it. And he was like, yeah, you'll get everything emailed to you. And I was like, okay, cool. So we left. The next morning, the salesperson that was helping me, the man that was helping me, he calls me and he said, hey, what happened? And blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? I was so mad when I left last night that I don't even want to go up there. I don't want to talk to no, like, none of y'all. Like, that was so, like, disrespectful. Like, I told him that, you know, this and this and that about the law, blah, 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 right? So I mentioned that to him, and he kind of like stayed quiet on the phone. And he was just like, yeah, well, you know that we have to pay transportation fees. Because I was like, he's saying that he's not going to give me my money, that I'm not going to get it back. And I don't understand why I'm not going to get it back if I didn't agree to anything. I didn't sign anything. And he's like, well, you know, we do have to pay the transportation fee. I was like, I get that, but I'm not going to buy the car anymore. So why are you trying to hold my money from me? And he's like, well, let me talk to him and see, like, you know, this is BS, blah, blah, blah. Like, he shouldn't have talked to you that way. And I'm like, yeah, at least you, when I brought up that fee, you were like, okay, well, this is what I can do to help you out. He flat out was like, nope, he didn't. try to, say, let me help you out, let me discount. Nothing, nothing. He was like, we can't take it off and we can't take it off. So I contact my bank and I file a claim, for the money that was taken out. And I also contacted a lawyer that deals with dealerships that do these type of things. And he said, go up there, get all the papers that you signed, and send them to me. So the girl that originally helped me opens the door and she's like, hi. I was like, hey, I'm here to collect the papers that I signed. So I want copies of those papers. She was like, oh, okay, sure. So she goes, I don't know who she went and talked to, but the financial guy that took my payment, my $1,000 payment, comes out with the papers and he's like, just so you know, these are no good. These are actually trash. Like, they're not gonna do nothing for you. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, well, I still want copies of them. And he's like, I'm gonna give you your money. I was like, I know you are. Like, you cannot hold my money. I didn't sign anything saying that I forfeit my money if I didn't buy the car. So so we go into his office. Oh, and the other thing that, I was just so like taking their word for it. I wasn't asking for no papers. I wasn't asking for copies like when I went. And I didn't even get a receipt for the payment that I gave. And honestly, like, I didn't ask for the receipt because I paid with my bank card. Therefore, I was going to have that proof. So he's like, do you have the receipt? I was like, no, you didn't give me no receipt. He was like, okay, I'll print you one out right now. So I'm looking at the papers. None of the papers had any like $1,000, nothing written on it. Like I said, it was just saying that I was, interested in buying the car, and then the VIN number, my signature, and that's it. That's it. Nothing else. So he was like, "Oh, so what happened?" So I was like, "I don't even want to talk about it because then I'm gonna get mad all over again." So I was like, "When can I expect my money?" So he says the guy that signs the checks is not available right now. So when he comes, I'll send it to him, blah, blah, blah. And he's going to print out the check. So you can expect it by next week. I was like, okay, cool. So next week comes around and there's no check in the mail because he said I was going to get a check in the mail. And I waited about 2.5 weeks and I sent him an email and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I haven't received anything. Can you give me an update? What's going on? No email me. Like, he didn't email me back. And I was like, okay, you know what? I already filed a claim with my bank, so I'm just going to let them handle it. And I contacted the lawyer, and the lawyer said, since you already filed a claim with your bank, wait and see what your bank is going to do, if they're able to get your funds back or not. And once that claim has been closed or settled or whatever, call me back if they weren't able to get your money and we can go from there. So I was like, okay, great. I waited a whole month. No, not even a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, because when the check came in, I want to say in like the end of August. Um, close to like the end of August. And when I looked at the check, it had July's date. So they held my check in their office, maybe, I don't know. They held that check for as long as they could, and then they mailed it to me. What? So they were purposely holding my money. And so when I get the check, I call my bank and I said, hey, I got the check. Do I deposit? Like, what do I do? They're like, go ahead and deposit it. And because they had already refunded my money. So that was another reason why, like, I was like, okay, whatever, I'll wait on it. They did a temporary refund. And so they're like, when you deposit the check, we'll go ahead and, get the money back or whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So I deposit the check, and a week later, I get an email saying that that check was returned for stop payment. Like, seriously? I was so mad. I was like, what in the world? And now I was like, okay, before I start tripping, maybe they got, the alert or notice or whatever that I filed a claim. Maybe my bank is already dealing with it. It's been, a long time. So maybe they place a stop payment because they're going to, the bank probably was able to get the money from them, collect the money from them. So that is what indeed happened. So my bank had already, dealt with whoever at the dealership to get the money from them, get them to pay the bank. And so that's why the stop payment was placed. But you guys, be careful when you're dealing with dealerships because they will put all the fees possible. Like, it's insane, and we had to learn like the hard way. Like I said, like it's not our first car. We've been dealing with this like for years since I got my driver's license, buying cars. So so yeah, you gotta know your stuff when you go and deal with these people. Remember, they're salesmen and women for a reason, because they will sell everything to you. I don't get none of that warranty stuff. Because look, they pack up all those fees when you're with a salesperson, and then when you go to the finance office to sign all the papers, they hit you with all these warranties and stuff like that, and it's if your car was going to be 25,000, now you're paying 50,000 because of all the fees and stuff that they added on there. It's ridiculous. So I don't know. Ain't never going back there again. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.